Chapter 8, Stone. Remember when we left off, they're all running over to Duke's house because his parents were turned to stone? So let's find out what happened. Grandpa always shed about 70 years when anything rivery was going on. So he got to Duke. Let me restart that whole thing. Grandpa always shed about 70 years whenever anything rivery was going on. So he got to Duke's front door first. Without knocking, he barged in, declaring, "It's me!" Now remember, that's his daughter, so it's not weird for him to go inside. Right behind Grandpa came Dad, still in his pajamas, who called out, "Phyllis!" The rest of us crowded in behind Grandpa and Dad, none too brave. So far as I knew, no one in our family had ever been turned to stone before. When Dr. E. O. Moneybaker and One Shot arrived, the doctor announced, "They're in the kitchen." Everyone flocked to the back of the house, straining not to touch anything on the way. The rooms were so still and watchful that there had to be a spell at work somewhere. In the living room, the old-fashioned mantel clock was still ticking, but its hands kept bouncing off of 8:28, so it just kept staying right there, as if some hidden wall were keeping them from reaching the next minute. We all squeezed into the kitchen, where the empty purple leash was lying on the floor, and the back door was hanging wide open. Remember, they had the purple leash on Duke, so he wouldn't run away. There was no sign of Duke. His parents were facing each other across the breakfast nook, still as the bowl of plastic fruit between them. They were stone statues, all right, yellowish sandstone of the kind that shows up here and there along the river. Kids love to scratch their names and the year onto that stuff. Uncle Norm had been zapped while patting Aunt Phyllis's hand, so it looked like Uncle Norm was reaching out, touching Aunt Phyllis's hand. He was a large, kindly man who never met a dog who didn't want to lick him. At the moment, he was sitting with his mouth hanging open, looking as though he were saying famous last words. Aunt Phyllis's head was tilted slightly forward, as if petrified in the middle of a woeful nod yes, like she was saying yes and he was touching her, like reassuring her. Crouching at their feet, just as solid as they were, was Duff, the family spaniel. That explained why we hadn't been bowled over and licked clean as soon as we stepped through the front door. Then I noticed something about Aunt Phyllis. "What's that?" I pointed. One of Aunt Phyllis's cheeks was moist. As we watched, a tear gathered at the corner of her stone eye and seeped downwards. She was crying even though she was stone. "We're not too late," Grandpa called out twice as loud as necessary, "but we'll need some river water to save 'em." "How much river water?" Dad asked. "Fill this," Grandpa said, grabbing Uncle Norm's silver thermos off the kitchen counter, "and quick. Don't spare the horses." Okay, that was a short chapter. All right, so what do you think that means, don't spare the horses? There's lots of different things in here that I want to talk about. So when it says Grandpa always shed about 70 years when anything rivery was going on, what do you think that means? And when he said, "Fill this," Grandpa said, stabbing Uncle Norm's silver thermos off the kitchen counter, "and quick, don't spare the horses." What is he meaning by that?